Okay, so I'm going to tell you about actually one study that I'm doing right now very quickly, and it's called the Growing Together Study. It is addressing the needs of mothers and infants and the mothers who have opioid use disorders. So the problem that I'm working to address in a small way is the US opioid crisis, which I'm sure you know a fair amount just from being around and hearing about it. And for my particular population of interest, there's a lot of negative health outcomes for mothers and infants. So we've seen over the past 10 years, well, this is particular data from the CDC, which they have not updated yet, but in terms of the rate of overdose going from 2015 to 2016, a 20% jump in 1 year, which is fairly sizable. If you're thinking about women, is an option of pregnancy. And so there's a 4-time increase of opioid use disorder for pregnant women. That was from 1999 to 2014. And then, of course, what does that mean for the infants who are born? 4 times as many infants born with neonatal opioid withdrawal syndrome, which we call NOWS, and that increased from 1999 to 2014. So this should be disturbing, as it is, and it was to me and many of my colleagues. But what does that really mean when you're thinking about these babies and mothers? I'm a social worker, I'm interested in clinical interventions on the psychosocial realm. I support the biological interventions and the pharmacological interventions, but what I'm interested in is what happens in the parenting relationship with the parent and child. So we know that children who are exposed in utero to substances might have challenges due to that in utero exposure. The data is actually equivocal on many different substances. No time to get into that today. But what we have seen from the data is that the relationship between the substance exposed newborn and the mother is difficult. And that's partly because of what the newborns bring into the relationship. It's not all about the mother, and what the mother has reduced capacity to do in terms of reading the child's signals. So my colleague in Finland, Marjukka Pajulo, has talked about a vicious negative cycle, and that the parent and the newborn can be difficult regulatory partners. And we know in the immediate postpartum period that regulatory relationship between the mother and an infant are crucial for the child's development. So those are the problems, and we are working to address them through an intervention that we call BRIGHT. And it has a lot of things in it. So how am I doing on time, Brian? The intervention that's a diagram, as Dina talked about. And so we've got the challenges, which are maternal substance use, mental health issues that often come along with it for the mother, makes for challenging parenting when you're managing your own sobriety or recovery, meaning a high risk of child maltreatment and potentially challenges to the child's development. What you see in the bottom of the diagram, what are we going to try and do about this? And so we think that by using these techniques, which are promoting developmental play, offering developmental guidance to the parent, helping support protective behavior, helping the mother begin to attune to the baby, which is often challenging because many people who use substances have a difficult time attuning to their own feeling states. And so being able to attune to your child's feeling states can be extremely challenging. And substances' impact on the brain also makes that even more challenging. So we work in those domains, including emotion regulation for the parent and also helping a parent with concrete assistance. What do we hope to do? We want to do a lot of things with this intervention. We want to improve the relationship. We want to improve the mom's mental health. We want to hopefully set this child out to be developed in an optimal way. We want to reduce the risk of child maltreatment, and we want the mom to stay in recovery. This is a little concert diagram because I thought you might like those kinds of things. And you can see we're actually doing a clinical trial now funded by HRSA. It's a pragmatic trial. And it is cited at the Respect Clinic, which is at Boston Medical Center, and is a prenatal clinic for women with substance use disorder. And so it's pretty typical. We randomize to treatment and to treatment as usual, essentially, and to the new intervention, BRIGHT. And it happens prenatally from about 24 weeks of pregnancy to 6 months postpartum. Stay tuned for results. We haven't cracked the data yet.